So I decided to come up with a part 2 because I feel like the first part really resonated with a lot of people, and that's just so understandable because this is something that most people who are not like nepo babies or who come from a very wealthy family have to go through in life, and it's just also not something they usually talk to with your friends, because I feel like you're just so fed up with this corporate life that you go like, you know what, I don't even want to mention that, like when I'm with my friends, with my family, and at the end of the day you don't even have nobody to talk to or nobody to complain to except for me, because I'm here to complain. So just to sum up my part 1, for those of you who didn't watch it, I was talking about how toxic French work environment actually can be, because I know that a lot of people in corporate America are so done with how hard life is that they just hear like a couple of things about European market and particularly French job market, and they hear about social security, they hear about insurance for you and your family, like contracts, not being able to be fired as quickly as it is in States, and they go like, wow, that's exactly what I want. And on paper things always sound better than they are in real life. And I don't want to say like my experience is so horrible, but these are like some of the things that I suffered from. And very big point that I mentioned, it was socializing, like having to socialize at work, and not just during work, like having lunches with your friends and small talk and like them being intrusive and like they want to know everything about you. And also socializing after work, like going to after works is sometimes mandatory in France. And I don't want it, not because I hate you, just because I really am here to pay my bills. That's it. And I was I surprised to see that a lot of people agreed with I don't think I was. I think it makes a lot of sense, and I was really happy to see that a lot of French people in my comments also agreed. So I know that I'm not the problem here. I'm not the one struggling. I feel like everybody is, but a lot of people maybe just better at pretending. I literally cannot pretend for too long. It makes me sick to my stomach, and I just want to be myself, and I just want to stand up for myself and be like, you know, that's who I am. It's not because previous generations of like older Gen X or boomers or people before them suffered for such a long time and they were put through so much manipulation, gaslighting, and abuse at work that we want to live the same way. It's not because Gen Z or other generations don't want to work. It's because we want healthier work environment, work conditions, better pay, and this is doable. This is more than doable. It's not because you don't have it that it's impossible. It's because it's a way for them to manipulate you into thinking that that's the only way you can function, because they want to have control over you. Literally, time is the most useful and like important source in our life, and that's what they are scamming you off. They're taking away your time. Never mind, straight to the next point. So I also mentioned that I was going through an interview recently for the past several weeks, and overall the interview was nice. The interviewer was really good and really invested, but they really told me like straight away, girl, we expect you to spend time with us. Like, we need somebody who would want to socialize with us after work. And you know, I'm not being paid for that. And it's also, once again, it's a way to manipulate you like into talking about work after work hours for free. They literally told me, like, I don't remember what it's called in English now because I only remember the French word. We like playing baby foot, you know, this little thingies. That's what it's called in French, baby foot. Like, this is what I regularly do with the colleagues. I'm not interested in baby foot. I want to pay for my rent. And then I want to go home. And I don't want to go home at 8 p.m. I want to go home by 5, 5:30, 6 stop, if that's what is mentioned in my contract. So you play baby foot. I'm going to be home sipping on my tea, probably, not martini. But still, I'm going to be home in the comfort of my own home. So where did this interview go? They did not, I didn't want to go, but I was still thinking about it because the job market's so hard. I'm like, maybe I should just accept it. Thankfully, they told me no, and they made up the reason. I know that they told me no because they just saw that I was not interested in the socializing. They made up a reason like, oh, well, actually, we feel like you don't have enough expertise in the product. Nobody has, it's a new company. You know what they sell? They sell them, like, you know, because everybody works in a like open space these days, and they sell like those little cabins like for 1 or 2 people where you isolate yourself when you have like interviews or phone calls. Nobody has expertise in that, and you never mentioned that, and it was not even in the job description. So I know that's a made-up point, but you know what, that's fine with me because I didn't want to go anyway. I know that I would be so exhausted after just like several weeks, or okay, I'll give it like a couple of months and I would want to quit. So I think that's a sign from the universe. So thank you. Okay, straight to the points, like other points, additional points that I don't like in France corporate culture. Work from home policies are really, 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 really bad to these days. There are actually a lot of job offers that state like, you know, oh my God, you can work from home 100% of the time. And then when you call them, they say, one recruiter once told me like literally 6 months ago, oh, you know what? I don't know who wrote the job offer. Girl, you are HR. You're not gonna tell me that you made that mistake and the job offer stayed on for like several weeks, month, and you never corrected it. You knew exactly what you're trying to do. You just knew that you're gonna trap people into thinking that this is a remote position, and at the end of the day, it's not. Just be honest. This is what our generation is also requiring. We require from you honesty. If this is what you want from me as your employee, you as my employer, you also need to give me honesty back. This is just literally not that hard. Otherwise, it's manipulation. So yeah, it's still really bad. I would say that some companies still more open to hybrid. So usually it's like 3 or sometimes 4 days in the office and the rest of the time outside of the office. You're still not the one who can really decide on the days. Very often they tell you like, oh, you have to be in the office on Mondays and Wednesdays because we have team meetings. And then you're like, okay, so I don't want to go to the office like on Tuesday and then come back on Thursday and Friday. I would rather go like maybe at the beginning of the week, at least for me, and then have more time off, and then maybe go like on a little, you know, weekend outside in the country somewhere. It doesn't make sense to like break down my week like this, at least not for me. So they're really, really, really bad. I can't go to the office 100% of the time. I get so exhausting from taking public transport. This is a big thing too. I should probably talk about that one day, just like overall public transportation and things I don't like in France, not just corporate, because it is really bad, because it is really tiring, because you have to get up early, get ready for work, maybe put some makeup on, have your breakfast, socialize with your colleagues every single day. You know what? I am way more efficient when I work from home because I can just sit down. I don't have any background noise. I don't need to listen to music. I don't have Kathy come into you and say, no, how did you spend your weekend? What did you do, Kathy? Leave me alone. I just want to sit down and be done with my work and then be a free man. Once again, so very, very thing in France. If you're looking for like a position that's, or like a company that's very flexible on working from home, France is still very, very much behind. But this is like linked to socialization thing that I talked about in my last video, because as they want to socialize with you, as they want to be with you, and they also want to have like control over you and what you're doing, they might not allow you to work from home. Sorry, I don't make the rules. It sucks for everybody. Another point is, in my experiences at least, guys, I don't want to scare you, but I feel like they track a lot of what you're doing. Like they tend to tell you that they like autonomous and independent people, like you manage your own time and your own tasks. But in my experiences, there's a lot of micromanaging. And I'm thinking about this one experience that I had, like working in a startup company, actually during COVID. We had like different schedules, but on some days I would start like at 9 and finish somewhere by 5. And I remember one day I didn't log in. I was working from home. I didn't log in like precisely at 9, because every single day you had to log in, go to Slack and tell like, hi, like I'm here. First of all, this is stupid. Like if you see me online, it's because I am. And I wrote this, I logged in and I said hi on 9:02 instead of 9. Guess what? My manager called me and she was like, oh, you know, this is not the first time you're behind. Last time you were behind 8 minutes and 4 minutes. And this bitch didn't even fucking care that on some other days and some other Saturdays and Sundays, because this job we worked on the weekend sometimes, I stayed for like additional hour and a half, because I was the only person who could resolve the issue and my manager wasn't there. She didn't care about that. Did she pay me for that? No, she absolutely didn't. And I remember this bitch even once told me, not just me, like we had a meeting. She said, like, you know, this is like a culture of collaboration here, so we're here to help each other for free. So basically she told us, like, if we need you overtime, you're gonna stay overtime, but we're not gonna help you. I am only collaborating with myself in this life, or the people I want to collaborate with. Since when are you forcing me to do it for free? And it's actually there's one person on my comments, in my comment section, that said like, oh, but if it's really hard to fire you in France, what stops you from like putting very firm boundaries? And the thing is, it is true that it's kind of hard to fire people in France because it's very pricey, but nothing stops them from harassing the shit out of you. And that's what they do regularly. Like this job that I just mentioned, they would do it all the time. And the thing with harassment, first of all, it's hard on everybody, especially if you've never been through that. Like if you come from a very healthy environment, when this happens, your body literally shuts down. Like you don't understand what's happening, and you sometimes start to question yourself, especially if you're a young person. So this is very unhealthy. And if it comes from different people in the same company in a repetitive way, I am telling you that doesn't matter how healthy you are, it's gonna be literally very hard for you to stay firm on your own boundaries, because that's the main goal, to make you question your reality and to say like, hey, you know, you're supposed to stay longer for free. I'm not saying every single job is like this. I'm saying like this is one of the precise experiences that I went through, and unfortunately, like things that I heard from my friends. It does happen very often. So France, you can do better. Like we can do so much better as a collective. And you know what? I was a manager myself. I think I was one of the chillest managers. I'm like, you know what? You're done with your work, just girl, go dance, do whatever you want to do. So there's no reason for you to be there for as long as it does not affect the end result or your overall performance. Let people come 2 minutes later, nothing is going to change about that. So they're not going to fire you, but they're going to harass you, and you don't want to do that. And sometimes you're just so tired from corporate that you're going to like close your eyes and be like, you know what, I'm just going to let it go. I don't have the strength in me to always like fight and fight and fight. We're always fighting for life every single day. We don't have enough money to just like snap our fingers and be like, okay, tomorrow I'm going on holidays, I'm going to spa, and for the next 6 months I've decided that I don't want to work. No, every single day is a struggle in this late stage capitalism. So yep, sometimes unfortunately closing your eyes on certain things is just like easier for our psyche. So I don't judge people who do that. I understand. Money for some reason is such a very big taboo in France, and I think it's not necessarily just like a corporate issue. It's overall an issue. A lot of people don't want to talk about money. Like it is seen as a bad thing to some, like to own money, to have money, to have higher salaries. And a lot of people don't want to talk about their salaries. Even like some of your friends. I don't have friends like that. My friends are like open books, but I've seen a lot of friends, like I am curious just by nature, and also sometimes I want to know other people's salaries so I can compare, like, am I being paid enough for like similar position and similar amount of experience? It's important. It's very healthy, because if you Google things, it's still not gonna give you the actual information of things, like how things are in France. So I like to ask people. It makes sense, like coming from the first source. And people don't want to disclose it for whatever reason. Like, oh, I know, I don't think it's a very appropriate question. Girl, I didn't ask you who your ex was or why you got divorced. Like, this is an inappropriate question if we're not too close. I just ask you how much money you make, and what I'm not gonna rob you of that money. I'm not gonna rob you of this position. I just literally want to know what's so bad about it. What's so bad about having money? This is how we live. This is how we pay for everything. So yeah, I'm not gonna like ask random strangers about this, I understand. But if people who I have a certain relationship with, or even if like friends of friends ask me this question, I have no problem saying like, yeah, that's the money I made, unless maybe you're really ashamed of it. But I'm telling you, it's never the people who are not making enough money who don't want to disclose it. It's always people who make way more than you. They're like, oh no, I don't feel it's appropriate. Well, I feel you're a bitch, Susie. And I'm not telling you this, right? I'm keeping this shit to myself. So maybe do the same. Also, like another just overall advice that I would give you if you work in France, be everywhere, not just France. Be really firm on your boundaries. I know how hard it is. It took me years to build my boundaries, but in a lot of my experiences, they wanted me to do some tasks that were completely outside of my contract. And I mean, I understand sometimes, I don't know, a colleague of yours is struggling, they're asking you for help. This is absolutely normal. But it's never this. It's always the company who doesn't want to hire more people to pay them to do additional tasks, but they'd rather redistribute like all the tasks among the people. And I had this job experience. I was like head of customer service, I think that was the title. And they would sometimes, because they had a showroom in like the exact same office building, and they decided to do like private sales or something, and they wanted me to go spend the day there and like sell the stuff to people come in. And I told them, you know what, I was a sales assistant when I was younger. I'm no longer interested in this job. I hate this job. I literally hate this job. I don't like selling things, and not my thing. And I told them, obviously not in that way, like in a way more respectful way, like, guys, I understand, but first of all, there's nobody who can manage the customer service. I'm the only person working here. And then secondly, so I would be like behind stuff. And then secondly, I'm just not really interested in that. So I understand that maybe you're looking for help, but I'm pretty sure the person who decided to do this private sale would be entirely happy and responsible for the whole thing. That was her idea. That wasn't mine. They don't like that. So be careful. Also, French people love to what's the word? Sugarcoat everything. If you are like me, firm on your boundaries today, don't be too hard on them. Find the right words to say, hey, I understand that you need this, but maybe don't even mention like this is outside of my contract. Just say, I'm really sorry, but I have like so many deadlines. Lie the shit out of it, because that's the only way very often in the corporate. I don't like lying, but for your own sake, if you have to, you're not lying to your mom, you're lying to your colleagues. You're not even going to remember the names once you're done with this job. So lie your way out of the situation so they see that you're working really hard, even though you're probably not, you're just Googling something. But still lie your way, if that's the only way to keep your boundaries firm. That works for me. I also understand that grass is really not greener on the other side, and also from your guys' comments, I saw that many people, even outside of France, are struggling in the same way. So I'm not trying to say like, hey, it's actually better in the US, it's better outside of Europe, in whatever the country. I'm not saying that. First of all, I don't have this much experience like working in other areas of the world, so I would be like, oh my god, I really prefer working in China because the work culture is so different. No, I can still only base it off France because that's the only country I really worked in. But I'm just saying that based on my experience, there's still a lot of things that are not working the way they should be, and it would cost nothing to improve them, but clearer communication and healthier boundaries from both parts. Something that corporate doesn't want to do, because once again, they want to have control over you. They want to make sure they underpay you and give you so many tasks that you're so exhausted at the end of the day that they can just keep using you. Once you're in this state, it actually makes me think of like abusive relationships. It's pretty much the same. Once you're in the state of like constant fatigue, anybody can manipulate you. Never think that you're so strong and so big and so cool that nobody could manipulate you. Everybody is being manipulated on a daily basis in different ways, and corporate is one of the biggest ways. It always works because you're always scared. You're probably already not making enough money, and you're always scared that you're gonna lose even more of it. So that's how they keep you in a cage. So be firm, find the right words. I know it's hard. I know it's hard as hell. I think in my next video I'm gonna talk about Severance. I don't know if you heard about this show. I'm just currently watching it. It is so good. It is such a great caricature of overall like the corporate world and how it works, the impact that it has on our minds, and actually how you become a slave. If you haven't watched the show yet, go watch it, because that's definitely like my next YouTube, because I am just enjoying it so much. Like, it's really fun in one way, but it's also like really, it's very deep, and it makes you feel so uncanny when you're watching this. I'm not going to disclose more information. I'm just literally going to make another video about it, but I hope this information was helpful. I think I should also make like a video about the better side of Friends, because I don't want to make it sound like it's such a horrible place to be. No, I'm just saying that, you know, that's the way of improvement. These are the things that we could be doing for our own sake and for everybody's sake. But there are also plenty of good things. Maybe I'll feel like talking about it one day. But once again, if you have any questions, let me know.